Hello everyone, this is Bentley. You've been asking for it like crazy. It's about time we do it, right? It's time for a fish room tour. This is going to be split into two parts. So the first part is going to be the room I'm in now, since the room that has the Guppy mansion, the running river rainbows, the Leopoldi angelfish, a few other things. But we're going to start there, and yeah, I mean we're gonna film this just kind of like live and real, and we'll get some B-roll spliced in and all that kind of stuff. But kind of just how I like to do a lot of things is off-the-cuff commentary as I'm walking through. Not a lot has changed in the fish room in the grand scheme of things, but everybody wants to see it, so we'll go through it. So we'll start over here for this tour. You have to forgive me. I'm going to use my gimbal in a bit, but so at the Guppy mansion, just kind of come across. But you see it's settled in. It's been a few weeks since I did the adjustment to it. Get my gimbal to cooperate here. But see, it's settled in pretty nice. There's all the wood and the Boos and Anubias that are on the back piece here have settled in pretty nicely. I think one of the best parts, other than there's still a few floating stems that are in the tank. You can see them up there, but you just get to see so many guppies hanging out, doing their thing. The water's cleared up real nice from me kicking up a lot of stuff, but in general, there's a couple things we get to see. So we come down this way. I see the spotted GARRA a lot more. They like to hang out around all the wood down here. And then actually, if we come in here too, you'll notice that some of that blackbeard that was in here has been taken care of. They're slowly nibbling on that. And you can see little bits over on like the crypts and stuff. You know, you're never going to get rid of 100% of it using GARRA. And, you know, this isn't like some crazy aquascape or anything. It's mostly just a kind of a jungle style, right? It's plants doing their thing. But the nice part is we get to see all these guppies. And then we'll get to come over to the part that'll probably like make people angry. I say that with a laugh. See out my backyard. Actually, take you for a spot. For those who maybe watch my Instagram, it's gonna be hard. The camera's gonna freak out because it's like way lighter out there. But that tree on the right is where the woodpecker is living. That's one of the little ones. It's called a downy or DOWNY, if you want to pronounce it weird, but it's downy because it refers to the feather type. Woodpecker, they're native up here in the Northwest. And then we have the running river tank. And from afar, it looks great. We get up close. I totally like spaced on getting the algae off the front glass. But you can see, here's where I ripped like a ton of crypts out to give away at Fishtoberfest. They're slowly kind of settling back in. But you can see there's definitely some angriness happening in the Java fern. And part of that is like the plecos that are in here have grown a lot bigger, and I just need to feed them more. And also, I need to do a little bit of extra maintenance because the CO2 for this tank, the diffuser needs to be cleaned. It's not putting out quite as much CO2, and so that's causing some weird issues to happen because it's used to the CO2 and now it's not getting it, so it's all angry. And you can see there's still like boosts over this way underneath my like plant container here that I have some stuff I need to get planted. There's still some in its containers. You can see this stuff here that I need to attach to rock or wood and make it happier. But, you know, I've just been super busy. The The running river rainbows, like, have been super shy lately. They hide like crazy. So, unfortunately, the second I walk in here with a camera, they hide. Even if I try to feed them, they don't really come out. So what's the good part about this aquarium? You're like, oh man, Bentley, okay, you've let this thing go. The Java fern's in bad shape. You haven't planted some boosts. Like, is there any positive to this thing? So in the back, you can see that Madagascar lace looking pretty stellar, getting healthy. We still have these wonderful crypts doing well. And then the last kind of like positive that I will say for this thing is right there. Do you see the crypt WOODROWI? There's more in the back, and then also right up front, there's one there, but there's more in the back. That's a very rare crypt called Ponderidifolia HAWAIIAN, also known as rose lips. So pretty rare variation of an already kind of hard to get crypt that's propagating itself, getting healthy, getting lots of leaves, looking fantastic. Plus, you know, we've got the Nurii species. There's 2 species of Nurii in here, as well as the Jacobsonite pink that are all looking really great. Several rare booses that are all relatively healthy. Let's see, what's the next major change? As we come around this way, up top, we had these 310 gallons. They're all empty, and they're all really dirty from when I emptied them. I haven't cleaned them out. I just emptied them basically a week ago. And a lot of that comes down to, I originally put these together to try and raise some fry. And hoping I could do it in a more passive way. And just turns out like my work schedule with rainbows, it's not making it happen. So I'm going to tear all those down. The first job was just to empty them and get them dry. And then I'll basically only do the other 6 tanks below. So we'll pan down to those bad boys. These guys, where I've got different fish raising out, or have had for a while. And this is just going to be a matter of what I know I can keep well while I'm working an absolute ton. So let's go over the fish down this way. Actually, I need to move my dehumidifier so that we can see one tank. And a lot of these tanks just basically need their... So I make all this noise. See how unprepared I am? It's terrible. That's how you know this is more live. So in the far tank over here, that has some wobbin booster babies in it, growing out a little bit. I need to get one out, and it's so hard because they're so sneaky. But I need to get one out for brother-in-law James's tank. Then to the left of that, I lost a ton of my Cali MOYSI rainbows that I got from Marcel. That's Roseline 17 on Aquabid. When we had that massive heat wave here in Washington, this room actually got really hot. And part of it is the amount of glass that's in this room, the amount of windows. And I lost quite a few rainbows, actually. So I lost all but a pair. And then the male, you can only see that female. The male, I did a water change. I forgot to put my lid back on, and the male jumped. So lesson, like rainbows jump. Even rainbows that have been in tanks for a long time. Like you can occasionally get a jumper or something and spook them in the middle of the night. So I have that female. Now I have other males that are way bigger. So she needs to get some size on her before I put her with some of the other males. And I can, in theory, breed from there. And most likely what I'll do is I'll buy some more when I get more tank space. Eventually, to the left of that, these are my Aleni Wapogas. I have a pair plus a random rainbow that's just grown up with them. That random rainbow, it's really easy to tell. So if you look here, you can see the thick black stripe on the big male, thick black stripe on the female, a little bit of yellow in the tail. And then that little girl there is just like silver with the faintest little stripe. So it's super obvious she's not the same. They're doing good. That's one of the pairs from Gary Lang that I'll breed. I have another pair elsewhere. Interesting ones. The ones from Gary lose the red on their head in the males, where the ones I have from another person who has effectively the same line, but just through a different person, and they keep the red. So it's kind of weird. Down here, let's turn my dehumidifier off. I just realized like how much noise this thing's making. I'm so sorry. This is how you know I'm not planned. These are my MELANOTAENIA ETNAENSIS. You can see one guy's got a little bent spine, but I got a small group in there. A couple good-sized females and some males. So what I'll basically do is use the one small male who doesn't have the bent tail fin to breed with the two females, and I can go from there. In here, this used to be where the running rivers were. Now it's just a holdover for some extra super reds and one bigger wobbin rooster. I keep it kind of dark on purpose. I have a lot of floating plants up top to keep them shaded. It helps keep them more comfortable. And then finally over here is the last of my earwurs. And I lost some of my earwurs with all the heat too. That's the last one I have left. And that's a female. So, yeah. Some of my fish, I can't breed anymore. And part of that has just been my work schedule has been so atrocious in these tanks. Well, not the tank's fault, but my work schedule has been so atrocious, I can't raise the babies. So even when I collected some mops, it was hard to keep the babies alive because they have a bigger feed requirement early on for the first couple weeks. And then they become a little more robust. Oh, you know what? Actually, let me see if we can catch this like baby wobbin rooster over here. Let me see if we can get him. You see him on the back? He's back there on the sponge filter. It's probably really hard to see with the glare. But he's hiding back there. That's actually the one I want. That's the smaller of the two that I want to get for our brother-in-law James's tank. We got my dehumidifier and some supplies. And somebody will inevitably probably complain to me that I left all this blackbeard algae on this tank. Do it on purpose. Demonstrate a point. Even I get algae issues. You can see some diatom algae in the Java fern. And blackbeard algae all over the place. You got that group of rainbows hiding in the back. And all I'll do is transfer some of my SAEs from another tank over here and clean it up. It'll take a few weeks, but that's fine. So in here we have 4, these are Chilatharina from Calibiru, and then one lone MELANOTAENIA parva. That parva is probably going to get moved to my retirement tank. See, this tank's super simple. It's one of my only 2 tanks with sand in it. It's Java fern on some wood, tidal filter. My neighbors are in their backyard, so I'm trying not to pan up and show them on camera. But there's a Dracaena plant growing out of the top of this. See if I get the right angle. There we go. You can see that. It's been there for a while. This is a gift from a member of my club. And then we come over to the angelfish tank. Whoop. Gimbal, what are you doing? Gimbal's going crazy on me. So here's the Leopoldi angels. There are some big wobbin roosters in here that I grew up, that I got from Marcel. They were to diversify the genetics in my colony. I have one really strong male, and I think 2 females, if I remember right. In here, you can see all these crypts. Lots of Crypt spiralis. There's some just Wendy eye green. And if you look up front, you'll see a little bit of regular Ponderidifolia growing in. Then there's some of the stems that came out of the Guppy mansion. That is Ludwigia arcuata cross repens, which is really cool. There's a little bit of Anubias bonsai. There's actually quite a few chunks in here. And then finally, this like kind of ratty Java fern because the plecos keep eating it. That's a weird Java fern. It's called Singapore Dark. Me and my HAP chairperson have really been struggling to find more of it in the sense of verify that it's an actual species. It came into an auction under that name, and we're not sure, but you know, I've got it isolated, so just in case, But you can look at these Leopoldi. These are full-grown Leopoldi being jerks to each other. I have one pair in here, and I think I have one female out of these 5. But they've laid eggs a couple times, and I just need to re-identify them. I basically need to get some help to sex them better. I am pretty sure it is this big boy in the corner. And then, so he's chased kind of these 3 away, but there's, you see the one in the back between these 2 that's going toward the surface? I think that's his female. And just so I can spawn them, because Leopoldis are super cool. I love Leopoldis. I would love to be able to be raising them as like the one angelfish species I breed, but again, tank space is a thing right now, and I really don't have a lot of it at all, which is a little annoying, but you know, with my work schedule, it would be so tough to raise babies right now anyway. They just look so stellar. This has a little old school filter on it. I'm going to spin around so you can see it a little bit. That is a Magnum Hot. So it's a hang on the side canister filter. These things are like bulletproof. I swear, this is possibly the best hang on the back ever created, in the sense of you can abuse it. It just keeps running. It is like the Energizer Bunny. It just keeps going and going and going. And the most you have to do is it has this like really thin sponge cartridge in it that you just pull out and rinse out, and it has a little cage that it wraps around. And it's easy. Look at these 2 fighting. These jerks. I gotta feed them again. Maybe they'll calm down. I feed them at least once a day, sometimes twice, depending on how I'm feeling. But if you look, like, just look at the red in their fins right now. That like olive tone of the body. Those beautiful stripes. Such a beautiful fish. I love this fish so much. And it's a natural fish. These are wild caught guys. None of those crazy lines, nothing like that. Just a beautiful natural fish. That's really become my thing. Like, I've really dug into more natural fish over time, except the guppies. They're special children. Below them, come to this sad-looking Java fern. Similar thing here. It's been getting chewed up by a wobbin booster that's in here. But there are the ETNAENSIS. So this is a pretty rare rainbow. They had some struggles in the heat too, but I've got a few females and a few good looking males. I mean, you can see that orange color from here, even without trying to zoom in or do anything crazy, just shining. And that's not even their breeding color or their feeding color. That's just normal. Beautiful dark finnage. It almost looks black. Just incredible. I do need to run probably some meds here. You can actually see that guy's got a little like dark spot on the back half of his body. Usually that's like some kind of parasite. So I got to run some meds through these guys, get them on a bunch of frozen food to give them some really good high quality food for a bit. And then I've just been slowly working on getting this Java fern recovered. It's the old mother plant for what was in the running river. And, you know, I don't really care if I lose it because I've got more, but I would like to keep it alive. And then finally, come over here. This is my kind of other group tank of rainbows. You can see all that leftover Java fern that came out of the Guppy mansion. And then this big bull Bitus that I got from a club member. So there's a pair of MELANOTAENIA PICTA in here, a pair of Chilatharina eleni. There's 2 of the MOYSI sitting there in back. Bob Steenfott's big Atinjo male. I lost the females in the heat, which sucks. And then there's some... I'm trying to back up a little just so you can see the whole tank. 1 turquoise. And some SAEs in there. It's a pretty simple tank. I've kind of killed some of their front swim space on purpose, except for their feeding area. You see, like, the PICTA is trying to show off right now. He loves sparring with the big Atinjo male. And occasionally the eleni boy goes in there, so he's actually with his female over there. So when I get space, I'll have nice breeding pairs for a lot of my fish. It's just getting that time. That's pretty much it. I mean, the fish room is pretty simple. there, you see some of my supplies of stuff I need to recycle. So get that tank. These guys over here. Just a little once through. The running river. And finally, our guppies. There you go. That's the fish room, the main part. This is where a majority of the tanks are. In the next episode, we'll cover any questions you guys might have in this particular episode, and then we'll also look at some of the other fish tanks around the house. What I won't include, only because we've had a very specific video on them recently, is I won't include brother-in-law James's tank. And I also won't include the Flex that's in my bedroom, just because you guys see that all the time, and we've done a video on that pretty recently, talking about the Flex overall and what's going on in that tank. So we'll cover the couple other tanks that are around the house, and yeah. So if you have questions, let me know in the comments down below. What did you enjoy? What did you not enjoy? If you did enjoy this, please give it a thumbs up. It helps immensely with the YouTube algorithm. Plus, it's free. Just helps, do the stuff that we YouTubers have to beg for. Please, please, please love us. Give us that thumbs up to show us you love us. But yeah, the big thing, I really want to know your guys' questions. Really, so little has changed other than I lost a lot of fish when we had that big weather spike. And it got surprisingly hot in a lot of my tanks here. So for the fish that did survive, they're all super tough. And kudos to them, but it was a rough one. I lost a good number of fish, and that made me very sad. But the good news is that there's nothing that's completely irreplaceable, and it's not quite as painful as losing colony of zebra plackers or something like that. So we'll be able to recover and do some new stuff in the future, hopefully before this year is over. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and stay awesome. Oh, and maybe to subscribe if you made it this far.